This wasn't a random protest. It was a full-blown national exorcism, the sound of a country finally spitting out the taste of betrayal. And who's at the center of this eruption? None other than Sir Keir Starmer, the man who promised clarity but delivered cowardice, who promised vision but offered vacuums. Let's be honest, you don't get crowds like this without reason. You don't see working-class Brits marching en masse unless something deep inside the national psyche has snapped. Starmer's endless U-turns, his robotic doublespeak, his refusal to take real stands, it's all caught up to him. The public sees through the charade. He's not a man of the people, he's a man of the polls. And now it's boiling over. The so-called leader of the opposition is being heckled in the streets, like a disgraced reality show contestant. Why? Because he's everything wrong with modern politics, wrapped in a lifeless gray suit. Empty promises. Bland slogans. A sterile script written by PR firms with no soul behind it. Keir Starmer is a wanker, isn't just a chant, it's a diagnosis. Birmingham isn't just a city, it's a symbol. A beating heart of British industry, identity, and resistance. And when thousands gather there to denounce the man who claims to represent them, that's not noise. That's warning sirens. Starmer may still be speaking in sound bites and policy platitudes, but the people are speaking in raw, unfiltered truth. You failed us. This wasn't a protest. It was a wake-up call, one chanted loud enough for even Labour HQ to hear through its echo chamber. The myth of Starmer's quiet competence is crumbling. The man can't inspire loyalty, can't hold a crowd, and now? He can't even walk the streets of Britain without getting publicly humiliated. The mask has slipped. And behind it? Just another hollow technocrat trying to survive long enough to grab power, even if it means standing for nothing and falling for everything. So yes, it's happening. Britain is waking up. And it's screaming, not politely, not diplomatically, but in one unified voice. Starmer, get out of the way.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Right, so Monday, the Prime Minister will host Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, and Antonio Costa, the President of the European Council. Agriculture, trade, security, and defence are all on the table. But I'm going to come to you first, Brendan, on this one. What's in it for us?
Well, thanks for having me on, Dawn. Very little, I'd probably say. I think going on Keir Starmer's current record, it just makes me wonder exactly what he's going to give away this time. We've already had with it Chagos Islands and the mess that was there with that, and we seem to be offered little more than scraps. We're talking about passport e-gates at airports and so on, something a lot of Liberals tend to moan about on their weekend trips to Florence and so on, but I've always found them a bit of a faff anyway, but we don't seem to be getting anything out of it yet. They're asking for access to our fishing waters. They're demanding alignment on trade and standards for other things, just so we can have access to this defence fund, or they'll be good enough to then maybe buy some of our equipment. Now, if they want to buy some standard equipment off others, then they're obviously not serious about this defence thing. So I'm really worried, Dawn. I don't think he's going to come away with anything really. I think this is just a cosmetic exercise, and as we've seen with the EU with Brexit, they generally don't negotiate in good faith.
Going off Keir Starmer's record, it makes me wonder what he's going to give away this time. With that single jab, Brendan Clark-Smith didn't just question Starmer's competence, he predicted with brutal accuracy another chapter in Starmer's growing legacy of capitulation. Because let's face it, if there's one thing Keir Starmer is good at, it's surrendering. Surrendering principles, surrendering national interest, and now, apparently, surrendering trade leverage back to the very Brussels bureaucracy Britain voted to leave. Let's call this what it is, the Surrender Summit. A managed spectacle where Sir Keir, the man who fought tooth and nail against Brexit, tries to repackage resubmission as economic strategy. It's not negotiation. It's appeasement in a tailored suit. After years of undermining the vote to leave the EU, Starmer now wants us to believe he's the man to strike a bold New Deal? That's not leadership, that's rewriting failure with better lighting. What's he going to give away this time? Fishing rights? Regulatory alignment? The ability for Britain to govern itself without needing a translator from Brussels? If past performance is any indication, we should brace ourselves for another humiliating crawl back to the US doorstep, begging for approval while pretending it's pragmatism. Starmer isn't a strategist, he's a political echo. He absorbs whatever his handlers think will keep the Guardian happy and the polls soft. He stood against Brexit until it became inconvenient, then pivoted just enough to seem palatable to red wall voters, all while never truly accepting the idea of British independence. Now, with this so-called trade summit, we're watching that mask slip again. Because deep down, Starmer doesn't want sovereignty, he wants supervision. The irony? He calls this getting Britain back on track. But back on which track? The one that had our economy yoked to Brussels diktats? The one that ignored national votes and shamed national identity? Starmer isn't building a future, he's trying to drag Britain back to a past that voters rejected. So yes, Brendan Clark-Smith is right to ask the question. Because if Starmer's track record tells us anything, it's that when the moment comes to stand firm, he folds. When the nation needs strength, he offers submission. And when given the chance to fight for Britain's interests, he's far more likely to fight for someone else. This isn't diplomacy. It's weakness, dressed up as international cooperation. And Britain deserves better than a prime minister who thinks national pride is a negotiating flaw.